Lesnar might debut in future, anybody could. What do you want to send me? Can someone leave, like, suggestions? What would you send me in a PO box in the description? Because I want to know. I'm very intrigued now. The Commissioner might wrestle occasionally, but not very often though, because he can barely stand up. Takes me a while to animate NLW. I'd say at one time when I'm animating, it'll take an hour and a half to 2 hours that I'll do it just straight. I might get to do it, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours in one day, and that's if I can be bothered. So yeah, it does take a lot of effort. As for figures, I've never actually counted. All the figures you see in NLW, 100 maybe? That's just an estimate. What do I look like? Not like this. When do I plan on stopping NLW? Well, there's not really a plan to stop NLW, although I probably will stop eventually, maybe when I go to uni in a couple of years, but I may not stop it all. It may just be the fact that I format it in a different way, so it's kind of like less like Raw and more like hardcore TV, like a highlight type show type thing, so I can still get episodes out, they're just in a different format. My real name's actually Finton. I have actually started to use a few customs, but they're not really customs. Kevin Thorne, I've literally ripped the head off the Boogeyman and put on Kevin Thorne's head and arms. That's all I've done to that, so it's not really a custom technically. And the Commissioner, I guess, I took Batista's head, coloured in the hair, and just put it on the Undertaker's body. So they're kind of customised, but they're not really custom figures. So I might use some in future, but I'm terrible at making customs. And do I plan on making other animations other than wrestling? You see, I'm not that creative in that department. If someone were to give me ideas, I could give them credit and do that. Like I could do an animation of someone else's like story, I guess. But I don't know. That's why I just do wrestling and not any other animation, because I'm not really that creative in that sense. Ideas don't come to me very well. That's what I'm saying. How can I top that triple cage? 10 cages? No, I don't know if I will. That's definitely the biggest cage I'm ever gonna make. I'm not gonna be able to make anything bigger than that, I don't think. I use Jakks and Mattel, and I use TNA and WWE figures for my animation. As for a commentary figure at the desk, I probably should have had one by now, to be honest. Yeah, maybe. Any future talents? Yep, but they're going to be kept a surprise. Royal Rumble's going to be in October, and WrestleMania is going to be next May. Like I said, I wasn't actually planning on doing a road to WrestleMania, but because it's been so hotly requested, I'm going to do one. My favourite superstar right now is Finn Balor, although, actually, to be fair, I didn't say him earlier, but Kevin Owens is pretty good too. We're talking all time. Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. Will I ever show my face? Yeah, when it's convenient. You see, even I don't know how I came up with my username. In hindsight, it's a pretty crappy one to use. Whenever someone asks, oh, what's your username, what's your YouTube, I just have to say, oh, FCADClear553, and they're like, oh, how do I spell that? And it's like, I don't know. See, it was meant to be my initials, and then CAD as in computer. I don't even know. It's just a load of rubbish. Yes, MWE animation, I do say who says the question. As for my personal best episode I've ever done, my favourite personally is episode 13. It was the night after the Royal Rumble, like November 2013 or something like that, and I had like the Triple H Undertaker brawling, the first ever Chris Benoit Jericho match in NLW, a tables match for the IC title, Cena getting thrown in the river by Shawn Michaels, a cool hardcore title match to do, and Randy Orton and Batista confronting each other, Kane attacking Test and vice versa, and a main event between Triple H and Raven. Yeah, my favourite to animate and my favourite to watch back. I still watch it back because it gives me inspiration. I do enjoy that episode. It was unique. I don't think I'm going to do one as good as that. Favourite old wrestler from the past? I'd say Bret Hart. Do I watch Impact? Yeah, every week, all the way through. It's the only show I can sit through other than NXT, because with Raw I just have to skip through it. And do I watch Lucha Underground? I do try and watch it occasionally, like if there's a decent match. Like I think there was a ladder match between Johnny Mundo and Big Rick and Prince Puma a few weeks ago. Or it may have even been December, I'm not sure. But if there's a decent match on it, I do watch it occasionally, yeah. I must have repeated my favourite wrestler numerous times throughout this video. As for my favourite figure, it's between my Undertaker American Badass figure or my Shawn Michaels Elite Flashback one. Those two are my favourite. I really enjoy animating with those. Yes, I like Jeff Hardy. He's been my favourite since I started watching wrestling. In the Intercontinental title ladder match, I did expect Dean Ambrose or Daniel Bryan to win it, and obviously I was right. But yeah, I wouldn't have minded who'd won it, to be honest. I move my figures a little tiny bit each time. Some people do it more, some people do it less, but my picture is on the screen, like frame by frame. It's around 0.09 seconds a picture. That's what I use. Favourite WWE match aside WrestleMania matches? CM Punk vs Daniel Bryan Over the Limit 2012 was pretty good, so I'll say that. Favourite TNA match? Daniels, Joe and Styles, Unbreakable. That was amazing. Favourite YouTuber? Any one of the Sidemen. I mean, I've said that Randy Orton Batista Street Fight was my favourite match to animate, but also, I would also say the Hell in a Cell between Triple H and Shawn Michaels, that was a fun one to do. There's definitely going to be more members of the NLW locker room heading into WrestleMania particularly. As for whom, can't give it away, gotta keep it a surprise. When am I going to make John Cena a good guy? You see, I don't know if he's going to be in NLW any longer. The figure I've used for him is a bit worn out, and I really want to just kind of have new people in and get rid of a couple of people, you know, just to freshen things up. Do I like John Cena? Nah, but I don't dislike him. I mean, in the mid-card at the moment, you know, it's fine. I don't really mind. It's just when he's just constantly in the main event, I suppose, he does kind of get annoying. I mean, it's particularly bad in 2010 when, you know, he was doing the whole Nexus thing and burying them, essentially. But, you know, he's a good guy, he grants wishes and stuff, so... No, I don't dislike him particularly, no. I might definitely get women on my show, but I can't buy enough to make an entire show dedicated to it. Can the Big Man come back? No, I am using his body for Thorn. I've just got a new stage, so no, but maybe for pay-per-views. If Undertaker returns, there's not going to be a new figure, because I really, really like the figure I'm using. The American Badass figure, it's my favourite one to use, so that's probably why I'm not going to change his gimmick for the moment. I've shown how I can set up the stage. And as for the breakaway ladder, I don't know if you mean the little one with the figure that breaks. That's just how it comes. But I imagine you can make one out of cardboard as well. Why don't you get someone to do commentary with you? Because the fact of the matter is, I do so many videos, and to get someone to do commentary with me, they probably wouldn't be asked. The fact that I'm doing this pretty much constantly. Can I do a draft thing? If you mean like NLW and metal, I could. But it would confuse things, and I don't really enjoy that idea. But maybe in future, I don't know. How come you don't do Diva matches? Well, I'm going to do Diva matches in future. I'll probably have some sort of tournament with women and have 2 semi-finals and a final match, maybe at WrestleMania. There's an idea. Thoughts on WWE's current day PG product and WWF's Attitude Era product? It's difficult to compare the two because you're looking at 2 different times. Back then they didn't really have to obey many corporate sponsors, so it makes a little bit of a comparison issue. Obviously the wrestling today is much better. No matter how much you love the Attitude Era, the wrestling most of the time did suck. Particularly in 98 and 99, it was more about the big stars, the big angles, you know, Austin and McMahon, what are they going to do next week sort of thing. Whereas now it's sort of, oh, you build to a couple of decent matches that you know are going to be really good wrestling, and you get it on a consistent basis, really. You know, with 3 hours on Raw, they have time to do some good matches. And obviously in NXT, that's a PG product, and it's just amazing, the matches that they do. So if you're thinking of wrestling, actual wrestling, you want to watch WWE's current day product. It's not really the TV rating per se, it's the writers. That's what it really comes down to. So many people tuned in because it was so entertaining to watch. I think although 98 and 99 didn't have the greatest wrestling, it was some fantastic storylines and stuff like the Ministry and a lot of things that had never been seen before, and it was really, really interesting time. And also they had a competition back then, various competition back then, so you had to make your programming entertaining and watchable. I think a perfect era that combines wrestling and great story lines and such would have to be 2000-2001 when the Radicals jumped over Jericho. You know, wrestling became more of a forefront with, you know, Kurt Angle, Taz and everybody. The wrestling became more of a forefront, and although the storylines weren't as out there, it was really, really good. So, you know, there are aspects of both that are good and bad, but you don't need blood, swearing and make a good wrestling show. You need good matches between the wrestlers and divas, you know, show that they're competent in the ring. You know, the odd gimmick could be played out, you know, it's wrestling. It's meant to be bonkers. So I would say the Attitude Era is easier to sit through and watch, but today's wrestling has more quality matches. Although 2000-2001 was phenomenal with both aspects, in my opinion. Of course, there's loads of stuff I haven't mentioned yet. And don't get me wrong, in WWE particularly is a real bore, and back then the Attitude Era also had some just terrible stories and stuff, but if I had to pick just one, it would be the Attitude Era. Favourite wrestler yet? Bryan, Balor and Rollins. How long does it take to make one NLW part? Well, it'll take me an entire weekend usually to make an NLW part, yeah. And that's doing it around 3.5 hours a day and doing the editing at night. Get divas. Alright then. How do I come up with storylines? Well, like I said, I watch a lot of Raw and stuff, so I'll do out the pay-per-views first, and then I'll work the episodes around to the pay-per-views. I'll see like 2 people who've never faced off in NLW before, or maybe even in real life before, like John Cena and Raven, think, oh, you know what, that could be a decent gimmick for that guy, or I want to bring out the, I don't know, more babyface aspect in this guy. and then I'll put matches that I think will make a match, make a pay-per-view, and then I'll think about what I would be looking for in a wrestling match, if you see what I mean. Like who would go over, who would take the pinfall, who would lose and everything, heading into the pay-per-view even. So that it makes sense. I've got pages and pages and pages of just NLW episodes and notes about how I go about things. In fact, this is just everything including Sacrifice and before, just pages and pages of notes. I'll write down all what's happening on the episodes and everything, who's going to win and what angles I want to do after the match and stuff. So I've written it all down there. Also it helps trying to fit all the superstars on the pay-per-view. That helps me make storylines, because if two people don't have a match, then I'll think, oh, they better have a feud, because then I'll be able to use everyone. I do like Bray Wyatt actually, and that's why he's in my show. Edit the songs usually by downloading them as MP3s, putting them in Audacity, pitching them a little bit, maybe speed them up a little bit or slow down just to sort of fit their character in NLW. That's kind of why I do it, among other reasons, and that's how I edit the songs. Next Elimination Chamber I'm going to do is probably just going to be sometime next year, I'd say. Likely after WrestleMania. I'm 16? No, hang on. No, I'm 17. I'm 17. Will I get a newer Shawn Michaels action figure? No, because the one I animate with is one of my favourite figures to animate with. Do I speed up the pictures? Yep, I do 0.09 seconds per picture, I think. Will I subscribe to you? Well, I checked your channel and you don't have any videos at the time, so sorry. Will I add Edge to the NLW roster? Maybe, could be. Next Royal Rumble's going to be after Heatwave, and it's going to be starting in October. Can I add all these people? I will consider it. My favourite video, set of videos even, is probably episode 13. I love those. And also, I do enjoy the ones I did for Destruction. Those videos I enjoy. Yeah, they're my favourites. Could I use some people in the crowd? Well, the reason I don't use people in the crowd is because most of them have missing limbs. You can see along the row, most of them have tape around them, and that's from where essentially they're wrecked now. Bit cruel to them, to be fair, but they've stood the test of time, and now they're in my crowd, so they're not really animating standard, but I can use them as scenery. Is a new championship belt coming? Well, yeah, eventually there will be, because I'm going to introduce the women's championship when I add the women. If I ever decide to do a proper behind the scenes video, I will definitely do a time lapse. That's something I really want to see myself doing. Sting isn't my favourite wrestler, but he's alright to be fair. My favourite figures are the Undertaker one, the Shawn Michaels one you see in my videos, and I do use a tripod, but I use a big one during the match, and after the match I use a little tripod to get close-up animation. Can I make a PO box? What for? Please tell me in the comments. What would you send me? I'm really interested to know now. Watching old stop motion back in the day definitely inspired me. For any young viewers, I'd say animate because you want to, not because you feel you have to. And by the way, at the start, your animations, they're not going to be very good. I found that out firsthand when I did mine. So do practice as well. That is important. Be careful with your movements, and it is going to be time consuming, obviously, because it is stop motion and it's going to be irritating. And you can't expect it to look perfect first time out, so you got to keep practicing. Even mine aren't that great, to be honest. There are still so many animators who are better than I am. But yeah, I'd say practice is perfect, and it will improve the more you do it. That's what I will say. So don't be downhearted if they're not great at the start. As for if I'll make a how-to video, I could, but like I've said, there are already others out there who have done how-to videos, and I think they do it justice. They've helped me, so they'll probably help everyone who watches my videos as well. Will I use other WWE pay-per-view names as my own? Nah, probably not. I try it well. Occasionally I might, but I try not to. I try to make them original. Although Heatwave's not original, because that's ECW's, and even the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, so yeah. I try and keep it as original as possible with regards to pay-per-view names. Test is broken, that's where he's gone. Chris Benoit, he's broken as well, and that's why he's not in the Fed anymore. As for if I'll bring in Brock Lesnar, Goldberg or Stone Cold, well, if I said, wouldn't be a surprise, so keep watch, and they might debut anytime. Will a Deadman Undertaker return? It could happen, but maybe not, because I really enjoy animating with my American Badass figure. That's why the gimmick's staying the way it is for the moment. Why don't you use Evil Ways, Get Ready to Fly remix for AJ Styles? Just because I prefer to use my own pitched theme that I've edited. How long does it take me to make an episode, just the stop motion part? Well, essentially you've got Saturday, Sunday and Monday usually. I'll spend about 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday, just the stop motion by the way, not the editing. And on Monday maybe 2 hours. I might carry on over to the Tuesday, and because for most of the week I'm not doing stop motion, you know, I'm at college and stuff. So with regards to your second question, do I animate when I feel like, yeah, if it's a Saturday I'm just like, I can't really be arsed, I'm just gonna chill, then I won't animate. But usually if I do feel like that, and if I'm lacking motivation, it doesn't really matter, because I've done a lot of episodes in advance. Do I write the scripts, or do I just animate when I feel like? I don't actually animate what I feel like. I follow like I'll look for matches on YouTube to try and give me inspiration, and I'll duplicate some of the matches per se, but at the end of the day, I'm the one creating the finish, and that's what I stick to, 'cause it's part of the storyline in the match, if you see what I mean. Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. Well, Undertaker's obviously a legend, but, you know, Bray Wyatt, just something a bit sinister about his creepy, cult-like persona is just amazing. Although, I would have to say that Undertaker's 99 Ministry gimmick was better than anything he's ever done, in my opinion. How do I make my animation so long? Well, as a lot of people have noticed, I pause it a lot, and a lot of it is just storytelling and talking up. If I was doing like a proper animation, it wouldn't be anywhere near as long. Like, if I did an animation as good as most of the animators that I watch, it would never be as long. But the fact that I use pauses is because I have to commentate over it, you see. So I need it to be long in order to convey a story, if you get what I mean. Will I check out your stop motion? Alright then. You know, they're pretty decent, to be honest. Obviously, people have told you what you can do to improve, and you know. But what you've done already is pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. Keep it up. Will I ever get the Shield and the Wyatts? Maybe. Why does it take 5 seconds for your pictures to move frame to frame? It's because I take a lot of pauses. It's not actually 5 seconds. Frame to frame, I used to just have like single pictures, and nobody liked that. So I changed it to having a few pictures a second, and you know, even like a little movement of the head. It's just a way that I'm able to commentate over it easier. That's essentially what it is. Where to get my string? It's this thin, like, see-through white stuff that you can use for sewing, I think, and that's what I use for string. I don't know where I got it. I think you can get it from like a sewing shop or something. You can probably find it online, to be fair. Where to get the sting I use in the videos? It's from Amazon. It's a TNA figure. How long does it take me to make now? My animation, like, over the weekend, I would say, for one part, maybe even an entire week. It depends. Why do you change the music pitch for your entrances? Because, I don't know, partly to avoid copyright, and also partly because I want to make them more unique to NLW. How long does it take you to edit and upload one video? Well, my parts, I've said, usually take me over the weekend, and once I've edited it, it takes about 2 hours, because I have to edit it in Movie Maker first, the pictures, and then transfer it over to Movie Studio to do the editing for the sound. Altogether, it could take like 10 hours. I never put it into that perspective, to be honest. So yeah, the animating itself, one match usually will take me 4 hours. The editing on Movie Maker will take me an hour, and then plus an additional hour for the Movie Studio. And then I have to commentate over it, which is another like half hour. A long time, that's the answer. How long have I been a wrestling fan? I've been a wrestling fan since September of 2006. I remember the first Raw that I watched, the main event, was John Cena with an arm tied behind his back against Lita. I have no idea why. And I remember the first SmackDown match I watched was Rey Mysterio against Chavo Guerrero in an I Quit match. Yes, I've been a wrestling fan since 2006. The entrance videos, as I showed earlier, it's not a green screen, it's simpler than that, it's just a picture-in-picture effect. I did the Titantrons in Movie Maker and then just essentially transferred them over to fit them to the Titantron screen picture of it, as you saw earlier in the video. How much do I plan for each episode? Well, as you saw through the book that I showed, I plan a lot. And do I plan the pay-per-views before the single episode, like planning Sacrifice before? Yeah, I do that. I will plan a lot of pay-per-views ahead, and then I'll work the episodes around the pay-per-views. How long does it take to plan a pay-per-view? It takes a lot longer to plan the episodes because I have to mark out all the angles and stuff, but for the pay-per-views all I have to do is write down who I want to face who, and who I want to win really, and think about a little bit who I want them to face afterwards. Is it hard making stop motion? Yeah, it is hard, but you'll soon get hang of it. Are we going to see a Matt Hardy debut or any other debut? Well, Matt Hardy debut would be good, wouldn't it? Because, you know, Hardy boys, but any other debut? Don't know. Wait and see. The next figure I buy will probably be for the Royal Rumble, I would imagine, because there's definitely going to be some big debuts in the Royal Rumble, I would imagine. How long does it take to do stop motion videos? It depends how long the stop motion video is, really. Like I say, I did mine over the weekend, but I'm spending a lot of time on it, so it really depends how long your video is. Have I ever been to any WWE events? I've been to 2. I've been to a Raw in Birmingham in 2012, November, and I've been to a live event in November 2013. So apart from the Raw and the live event, I have actually been to Impact Wrestling once as well, and that was earlier this year where I went to the Wembley tapings. How long does it take to do one match in an NLW? Well, calculating it all together, like I've said, around 10 hours I would imagine. That's the average match. Like for pay-per-view matches, the animating part is more like 6 to 7 hours because I'm doing a longer, like 15-minute match. But for usual matches that are about 5 minutes, I'd say about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours at least, with a few hours added onto that for editing. Can I do more insane match types? Yep, I'm always looking to do more insane match types. I like to mix it up a little bit and do stuff I haven't been done before. Should we see Injustice brought to NRW from the Shield if you get them or have them? Well, I don't have them, but who knows, maybe. Chris Benoit's probably not going to return because of how knackered the figure is, and are we going to have superstars like Eddie Guerrero, Sheamus and the Shield? Again, if I said it wouldn't be a surprise. But obviously there's also a chance to vote for which superstar you want to see in NRW at the end of the year, so maybe one of them could be entered. Can I odd Brock Lesnar please? Maybe. How long have I been watching WWE? Well, if I was in 2006, that's about 9 years then? 9 years is a long time. That's over half my life. What is my favourite match? Anything from WrestleMania 17 is good. I said CM Punk vs Daniel Bryan earlier, but come to think of it, there's probably... Oh no, CM Punk vs John Cena at Money in the Bank, that was amazing. Yeah. And I'll tell you another match that I really enjoyed. The night the line was crossed, I think it was. Terry Funk, Shane Douglas and Sabu for the ECW title, 60-minute time limit draw. Yeah, that was a good one. Favourite wrestler, Rollins, Balor and Hardy Punk. This list keeps getting bigger every time I list off my favourite wrestlers. If I had money, would I get more elites? Yeah, if I did have the money, I would definitely get more elites. You see, I see people ask me, oh, why don't you get elites, why don't you upgrade? But the fact is, in UK money, it's like 20 quid, and that's more in dollars. So you can imagine how many figures. If I bought 5 elite figures, that would set me back 100 quid, and I cannot afford that. So I stick to getting elites for like birthdays or Christmases if I want them, or if I'm really going to save my money. If it's a figure that I really want, like I really wanted that Shawn Michaels figure, so I did save up for that one. And it was worth it. But even the basics are like 10 quid each. The reason you see so many TNA figures is because they're like a $5, and that's how much they used to be, I think. So yeah, if I did have the money, I would get more elites. Am I ever going to do a Royal Rumble TNA / Gauntlet? Well, yeah, I'm going to do the Royal Rumble later this year, and Battle Royal is going to come up on episode 30. How is animating with Jakks figures different from Mattel? Well, Mattel, for one thing, I'd say they're more durable, because with Jakks, the figure's limbs become loose. The joints become loose quicker. I'd say it's easier to manipulate the Mattel figures. I do prefer animating with Mattel figures, although I do like Jakks figures. I do like the way that they're sort of sturdier, if you see what I mean. I think it's just the fact that Jakks figures are all the same size and Mattel figures vary in size depending on the wrestler. Yeah, that's one of the main differences, but Mattel, I find it easier to animate with them. Tips on stop motion. How did I get so good? Well, I'm not that good, to be fair, if you compare me to most of the other animators on YouTube. If you want any tips, I would say be patient with it, because it's not going to be great at the first shot. You got to improve. Practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the more likely it is you're going to improve. It's just practice, practice, practice. That's all it is. Like my videos, you can see the progression through my videos and how they've like gotten better. And you know, there's still improvements that I can be made. So you're not going to be great overnight. You have to practice. That's the main thing, I would say. And also, move the joints carefully. Don't make it clunky like a pick fed. Make it, if you're going to animate at least, be careful with your movements. Take a lot of pictures, but make sure they're relevant pictures. Like, don't make it choppy, I suppose. But there are tutorials on it, so those are better tips than I can give. Will we see a retro Brock Lesnar in the future? Maybe. We might see a Brock Lesnar in the future. Yeah. Seems like a popular choice, so I will take it into consideration, but yeah, maybe. And I started doing this Q&A at like 3, 4 o'clock, and now it's midnight. This has taken me ages. I didn't even expect this many questions, although I am grateful for them, trust me. If I didn't answer one of your questions, you know, feel free to ask it in the comments. If there wasn't a question there and you feel you want it answered, then again, just leave it in the comments and I will reply. If there's a reply button, I will click it and I'll let you know the answer. If I didn't explain something, and again, just let me know. So any additional questions, feel free to ask them and I'll do my best to answer them. Apart from that, thank you to everyone who sent in a question, and I'm sorry I didn't do a face reveal, it was just easier this way. And once again, thank you for 10,000 subscribers. I hope I've answered your questions to the best of my ability. I'll see you later.